Yeah, Farhana, yeah.
Good morning, one and all. Respected Chairman Sir, Mr. Sridhar Mupala, a resource person, Ms. Rosie Matilda, executives of Tapasya Educational Institutions, principals of all the branches, principals, faculty members, admin staff, and my dearest students. I'm honored as I introduce myself. I'm Farhana Begum, faculty in English, Tapasya Degree College, co-convener and convener Mr. Prashant Kumar, principal, Tapasya Degree College. Tapasya Educational Institutions invite you all to this session organized by Tapasya Educational Institutions. Tapasya aims at overall personality development of the students along with academics. So hereby I introduce today's resource person, Ms. Rosie Matilda. She's a passionate English laureate with rich experience of over 23 years in the industry and academia. She's a Cambridge certified trainer for higher education, British Council certified IELTS trainer, certified international engineering educator, and an Infosys Campus Connect trainer. I hope all the students have joined with enthusiasm and leave with broadened horizon. Without wasting the valuable time, now I hand over the session to Ms. Rosie Matilda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Farhana, for that wonderful introduction. I deem it honor and pleasure at the same time to be here amidst you all to share my thoughts. I wouldn't say I would be enlightening you all on anything. We all know many things over here. So I'll be sharing my thoughts on few things that are the need of the hour. And hence, if you are aware or if you have gone through the topic of today's webinar, it is on 21st century skills, and we are unlocking some skills. And then what skills did we pick for today? That is going to be soft skills. So I request sir to share the PowerPoint presentation so that we can go on without much ado. So now tell me, I hope most of you all have joined or about to join your degree colleges. It is your next phase of education, right? Sir, do we have an option wherein students can actually interact with us through chat, or they can unmute themselves and respond? Do we have that kind of an option available here?
Yes, ma'am, we do actually, but if you want, I will enable it on your request.
Sure, sir, sure. I think Neha raises her hand over here. Okay, right. So while the PPT is on, I'd like to take some thoughts of yours. So most of you all have completed your intermediate or you have already joined your degree college, right? So now tell me, what is your priority? What are you all planning to do after you join your degree or once you complete your graduation? What are your thoughts? Would anyone like to share some thoughts on this? What's your next step in your life? Anyone? Move on to the next slide, please. Okay, looks like everyone is a keen listener over here. But I would love action because that would really, shed some light on few things because it is you who are all the focus today, the students and the future generation of this country. So you can see that unlocking skills or the 21st century soft skills is today's topic. So let us move on. Maybe you're all having your questions reserved for the end of the session. Now, if we talk about the 21st century skills, now here I put up a huge list. Now, if you talk about all these skills, they are categorized into learning skills, literary skills, and life skills. And then today's focus is going to be on communication skills. Now, why is our focus on communication skills today and not anything? And how do communication skills actually interrelate with our learning skills or our life skills, because literary skills is nothing but you get this on a piece of paper. It is a hard skill that you acquire, whether you like it or no, with backlogs or without backlogs. You are going to get your certificate by the end of your 3 years or 4 years or 5 years course, whatever you have joined after your intermediate. So if you take a look at the skills, okay, now communication skills will help you come up with, or they interact with so many other skills on the screen. And these are all the skills for today that you need not only to get into a job, but they'll help you grow up the ladder and they'll help you sustain your job. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, let us see how communication skills can actually interlink with your other skills. Okay, so can anyone give me a quick understanding of what is communication, or what are communication skills? Can anyone give me that? Anyone who is listening can do that. Now, I'll tell you one thing, all these active participants for today, it's going to make so much of difference, because you people have decided that you're going to take that initiative. Sir, can you go back to the previous slide, please? Because there is, and I actually wanted to play that video. Okay, yes, sir. So, will I be able to play the video, sir? Okay, so why are communication skills important? Yes, can anyone tell me now? I was telling you how you people taking an initiative of answering the questions or coming out loud or bold and confident with addressing a group of people. That too, these are all known people, they are from your own college. It gives you an edge over others. I'll tell you now, this becomes a beginning as to how spoken you are and what kind of leadership skills you project. So I would, this is a wonderful opportunity. You students can take it up and you can share your thoughts. You can just unmute yourself or raise your hand so that sir is going to unmute yourself, and then you can, you'll be able to speak. Okay, so if I say, why are good communication skills important? Yes, um, wanted to share a video. Okay, never mind. If you are not able to see this video, I will definitely show you this video towards the end. Okay, so let us move on with today's presentation, sir. Okay, so why are communication, or how do communication skills make a difference in our life? Yes. How do they make a difference in our lives? Right. Now, talking about the importance. Yes. Yes, Harsh. Okay, so these are the most important of all the life skills. Okay, the first thing, that's the first thing. Now, what is the difference between soft skills and life skills? There is a mile line of variation between what is a soft skill and what are life skills. Now, regardless of what they mean, I would say that both are equally important. If some skills help us to survive today, some skills survive throughout our life. Next sentence, please. So now, if we are talking about the important life skills, and we can talk about communication in two different ways. Now, Can you believe when I say you can write a book on a person even before talking to him? Can you believe? Now imagine you're standing at a bus stop, okay? You're waiting for your bus or you're waiting to be picked up by someone. Even before you can talk to that person based on the appearance of the person, you can actually judge so much through the non-verbal communication. Now, what is non-verbal communication? If verbal communication is through opening our mouth and talking or expressing our thoughts, then non-verbal communication is talking or expressing even without opening our mouth. Now, is that really possible? Now, there's so much that we can speak out, that through body language, you say, eye contact, the gestures, the posture that we say, the dress that we wear, the gadgets that we buy, or the footwear, or the jewelry, or, there are so many things that we can tell about a person even before the person opens their mouth and speaks. So, silence, speaks wonders, they say. So here, even without talking to a person, without knowing, without having much information of a person, you can write a book. So verbal and non-verbal communication. Now, non-verbal communication, we take a lot of care. That is, we are very sure about the clothes that we wear, the items that we buy. We make sure that they are all branded because that carries weightage when a person is talking to us or when a person judges us. Moving on with the next sentence, let us see what or why are communication skills important in our life. So they are very important to deliver and understand information. Now, how do we deliver and understand information? How do we do that? We either have to open our mouth and speak. Now, imagine even a deaf and dumb person can communicate that he's hungry, that he's thirsty, he has understood, he hasn't understood, or a simple nod, yes or no, will suffice. Now, let me tell you, these type of skills are not going to fetch you a job in the market. Now, why I tell you this, I've been into this market for over 23 years. 23 years into the corporate sector, and the top 10 companies, from the top 10 companies, the top 8 companies I am empaneled with. That is, we conduct interviews. Now, why do we conduct interviews? First round, that is for any interview of these top 10 companies. Can you name some top 10 companies or put them on the list so that we can go through that later on? Okay, now these top 10 companies, what do? They hire people who are not only good with their academics, but they hire people who are first good with their communication. Now, what do we have to assess there? First, we are given 5 minutes per candidate. Now, and then we all thought the COVID or this pandemic has brought interviews to an end. We are completely wrong. Interviews are online. We do online interviews on a daily basis. Even today, after your session is done, I have to conduct a drive at a particular company, and we do this online. We ask students, we ask candidates to enable their video because we would like to see their interest. Because as I already told you, there's so much a person can speak without talking and with talking. We need both. We need to hire candidates who are confident, but your technicalities, that is how good you are with your subject in your area of interest, comes only later. So first thing is, if you're not able to create that impression on the interviewer that yes, this person has good set of communication skills, you stand no chance for your further rounds. So here we come into the picture, screen candidates for their communication skills, and then we have to accept or reject a person. And once a person is rejected, what happens to him? there is a freezing time. What is freezing time? Every company has their own freezing time. When you're under this freezing time, you cannot apply for any interview at that same company. So you lose that opportunity. And why do companies have freezing time? They want candidates to get better at the reason why they are rejected. But let me tell you, not every person tells you the reason for being rejected. Very few companies tell you why you have been rejected. So, moving on with our presentation today. Now, as I already told you, it is very important to deliver and understand information. We can understand information if our skill set are good, if our communication skills are good, and we can deliver information if our communication skills are good. So it is a two-way process, I would say. So we will proceed with the next part of the slide. Yes, sir. Now let us come to the end of the slide. So we have to understand and we have to be understood. And as I have already told you, it is a two-way process, right? Okay, move on, sir, to the next slide. So, if we talk about why communication skills are important, that is what judges your personality. And as I've already told you, they help you crack interviews successfully because many people say they have created their resume. You know how much money is charged to prepare your resume? Or if you all have registered on websites, all these job sites like Naukri.com or jobisjob.com, or there's so many, or yourstory.com. You know what all these companies do? They reach us. They reach people like us who can write resumes for candidates. And we charge a handsome and we know about the background of a candidate and we review their resumes. The pathetic thing about this is once we write a resume for a particular candidate, the candidate doesn't even bother to see what we have written on the resume. Nowadays, interviews have become very tricky. The candidates start by hearting the questions and come forward. So it becomes a little difficult for us to judge a person. So what do? We come up not with difficult questions, but I would say we come up with questions framed differently. If I have to ask you, tell me something about yourself, I wouldn't do that. I would say something like, take me through your resume. And what strengths did you write on your resume? Okay. Or what qualities did you write? Or, what other things have you mentioned in your resume? If the candidate had not taken a proper look at the resume, then he is going to be in trouble. And I'll tell you of candidates that we get, candidates who copy resumes of other friends, and then they don't even bother to change their date of birth, parents' name, and even signature and date at the end. So this is going to land you all in big trouble. First thing is never ever copy your resume. Do your own resume because it is your identity and your whole interview is going to be around your resume. And then communication skills are important to not only get a job, but you have to sustain it. Now, what does it mean to sustain it? You cannot keep jumping companies. After a few years, you'll be left with no choices. Now, there are many candidates who jump for a meager hike of 2,000, 3,000 rupees. That's not going to do any good for y'all. Once you jump companies, the interview doubts. Why is this person changing companies? Is it the company's fault? It cannot be the company's fault because he has jumped so many companies. You can say one company, not all the companies. right? So why is this person jumping companies? There should be something wrong with him, and that would become one of the negative aspects for you to get into a job. So sustain your job. To sustain your job, you need to have good team building skills, you need to have good leadership skills, you need to have good people skills. Now how do we get all this? Only when you open your mouth and communicate, and it helps you advance in your career. Now what is advancement in your career? You grow up the ladder. That is, you move on, you don't stagnate, you don't be at the same place. You just go up the hierarchy, you climb up the ladder, and then you become stronger at decision making. Now once you're confident, once you communicate properly, you're asked to give a presentation on a particular product that the company has come up with, or any presentation, you might be sent abroad on this, or you might be asked to meet a particular client, or you might have to deal with foreign clients. Then what are you going to do? You cannot say, oh God, my communication skills are not so good, so find someone else. Then you're losing your prospects. Then it helps you come out of your problems. Now, once you're good with your communication skills, it gives you so much of confidence that it gives you this problem solving capacity. There'll be an upturn in productivity. You'll have a more clearer and streamlined workflow. You will have a more enhanced professional image. You'll have a sound business relationship because of all the contacts that you have been maintaining because of your good communication, and you will have successful responses. Now, a person who is good, a people person who has been good with his communication, who never hurts others with his words, who is sweet to talk with, and he knows when to say no. These are needed in the organization today. So we can move on to the next slide, please. So, do you have all this that it takes for good communication? Now, I'll tell you, this is a status. You can go and click on the LinkedIn survey anywhere. You'll get this. In America, in a country like America, where everyone speaks English, many people get faltered when we say that English is a subject over there. It is a subject, whether it is England, the birthplace of the language for India, or whether it is America, it stands like an icon for all the countries in the world. Communication skills are a must. And what does the recent survey tell? That communication skills has topped the list of the most sought after soft skills among the employers. So let's move on. Now, if you see the other skills here, you see that you have organization skills, teamwork, punctual skills or punctuality, critical thinking, social skills, creativity, interpersonal skills, adaptability, and friendly personality. So all these skills, when compared, communication skills, took more weightage. This is what companies look forward. And then, apart from that, it builds trust, prevents or resolves problems, creates better relations, both personal and professional. Now, we see there's so many problems in our personal lives. People cannot get along. There is rivalry between friends, family members, people cannot get along well. Communication is the thing that can resolve all this. You try to open your mouth and communicate, understand what the other person wants, and if you know what the other person wants, you can decide whether you can give it to that person, or you can convince him that this is what you can best do. And then there is another misconception about communication skills. I see so many candidates or so many students that I have interacted so far. They say that, ma'am, first I'm going to get good with my communication skills, and then I'm going to start speaking. Now, you ask any person on earth, and any person claims that they have mastered the art of communication, they are lying, because there is no such thing like a peak level or a saturation point a person can reach when it comes to communication. You can only get better and better day after day. Now, when we talk about communication skills, as I told you, there are some people who would like to say, first I'm going to learn. Now, that day will never come. So, are you not going to speak till that day comes? Now, when I'm talking about communication skills, I'm talking about fluency in language. I'm talking about language skills. Now, why should I be fluent in English language, which is not my mother tongue? So we will see that ahead. Now, a recent survey, that is India Skills Report 2019, it tells us that there are three skills that the employers look forward for. And here also, communication skills top the list. Then you have adaptability and learning agility. Three skills first. Adaptability also we know through the communication skills round, whether this person can adapt himself to the growing environment or to the new or environment or to the booming environment. That we get to know. And then learning agility, whether has this go-get attitude or he's going to laze around, he's comfortable at his own zone and he is not going to progress in his life. So, if we talk about India Skills Report, it tells how many people have got jobs, are from which district, which state, whether girls got more jobs, boys got more jobs. All this is there in India Skills Report. This is a report which is generated every year, and AICTE approves this or UGC approves this. We'll move on, sir, with the next slide, please. So, here, when we are talking about communication skills, we need to know about the importance of English language. Now, what is the importance of English language? It is a global language, a language that can help you connect with the entire globe. We say the world has shrunk to become a global village, wherein people from different communities, languages, religious backgrounds, different customs, traditions, we all meet together. Now, if you're all living in Hyderabad, you must have seen a varied people from varied actually. So they all come here. There are so many foreigners, there are so many non-local people over here. So what unites them? Now, imagine you go to America or you go to a different place and you do not know the language of that place. But English language can help you sustain anywhere on earth. That's why it is called as a global language. And so many words have been borrowed from various languages into English. The common words like sugar that we use in our daily life, or been borrowed from various languages. Now, I'll tell you a very good example. See, in India, and then once they started promoting that, then everyone started knowing that it should be pronounced as cafe, and it is not resume that you write. You write a resume for your job. So why do we call these two words as cafe and resume? Because these two are French words. You have an accent written over E at the end on two E's on cafe. Now, the accent is a small line-like thing that you write. If you all have taken French as one of your second languages or third languages, you will be able to understand that. And then English is called as a lingua franca. What is lingua franca? A language which is most commonly used across the globe. And then English is the official language of around 53 countries. It is the dominant business language. It is a passport to enter a global workforce, and then cross-border business communication is conducted in English. We will move on, sir, with the next slide. There's so many advantages of learning English. You become good with language, and then the world is at your feet, you can say that. And then, if you talk about educational institutions, it is a medium of instruction. Now, excepting for a few candidates, a few students who have studied in Telugu medium or Urdu medium or Hindi medium. Otherwise, English is the medium of instruction for most of the educational institutions. And then it is a language of the internet. Now, once you type something on Google, it comes out in English, unless you want to change or modify the language in your search engine. Yes. And most of the world's top films, books, music, they're all produced in English. And an estimated 2 billion people in the world use English to communicate on a regular basis. And it is also the language of the media industry. We will move on, sir, to the next slide. So, now if these are the advantages of learning English, now what factors affect speaking skills? Why are so many people not able to communicate effectively in English? Now, these would be some of the factors. The poor quality of education. Now, we cannot go back and blame our parents and say, my God, why did my parents put me into this school? This school doesn't even teach in English, or this school doesn't give quality education. Now, we cannot, because we should be very grateful to our parents for having given us this much of education. Now, once you're grown up enough, once you come to high school, a person is mature enough to understand how the ways of the world work. It is your responsibility to go and get those skill set which your parents might not have given you, but you have reached that place because of your parents, and it is on you. The onus is on you to go improve your skill set and then get better. And then most of the educational institutions use mother tongue in teaching. Now, if you can recollect your education, you can go back. Some of the schools, some of the colleges, they teach in mother tongue, and English is rarely or very rarely used as a language for teaching. And then there's a mispronunciation of words. I'll ask you a simple word. How do you pronounce Tortoise? Can anyone tell me, how do you pronounce Tortoise? Okay, there are some hands up. Okay, or you can put it on the chat box if you all want. Now, are you all thinking of tortoise in mind? How many of you tortoise in mind? You can raise your hands. Tortoise is the pronunciation. Can raise your hands. Okay, good. So these are all the active listeners for today. Very good, very good. Okay, so how many of y'all think tortoise may not be the correct pronunciation? Now raise your hands. Mhm. Good. I'm glad you're all active and not sleeping. Okay, now I'll tell you all. The pronunciation is tortoise. Tortoise is pronounced tortoise and not tortoise. Now we cannot go back and blame our teachers, our parents for having given us a wrong pronunciation. We have to learn things. There's so many things, and Google is at your fingertips. We can say, not even a stone's throw, it is at your fingertips. There's so many people who sleep with their phone under their pillow or next to they keep it so close to their heart. Nothing is more valuable than phone today for most of the present generation. Or you take the word entrepreneur, it is pronounced as entrepreneur, and envelope, it is not envelope, it is envelope. Entrepreneur, tortoise, there's so many words. During interviews or leave about interviews, trying to communicate with a person, you get a wrong pronunciation. It sends a negative impact. They feel that, okay, this person is not to the mark. They might not reject you on that reason, but they have a misconception about you. They have a fixed mindset about you. They have already created an impression on you that your pronunciation is not to the mark, and pronunciation is the need of the hour. If you say you're good at English, you pronounce it properly. There is no space for errors in English pronunciation. You ask Google, pronounce this word, or there are so many softwares available. You just say hello Google, and Google answers you. You don't even have to type into it. So advanced. Use it for your benefit. And then English subject is given least priority. Now, I'm not meaning to hurt anyone's feelings over here by saying this, but I have my own experiences of my intermediate education, wherein we would get only 2 weeks of classes. 2 weeks of classes are, in a week, 2 days of classes in a week. So if it is 2 days, that is, we wouldn't get English on a regular basis. I do not know how the present situation work, but to whatever I've heard, it still remains the same. And then lack of practice. This is very, very important. Now, I've seen many people who do not use English to communicate unless they come to interviews. Why? Why is this happening? Because at home we use only our mother tongue, and with friends we use mother tongue. Even when we type it in Telugu. The only thing is we use English letters of the alphabet to type, but our communication is happening in Telugu through English. And then alienated library. I do not know how many of y'all have the habit of reading books. This helps you a lot with your reading skills, with your vocabulary, and with your sentence structures. And then irregular English classes in most of the educational institutions, and mother tongue is used for basic conversations. This we have already discussed. So let us move on. So if these are the factors that affect, what are the effects of these factors? So let us move on to the next slide and see what are the factors that affect. Okay, so the videos I don't think we are able to play, but somewhere at the end we'll try to play them for you all. So, what is the meaning of aftermath? The aftermath is the consequences of a great action. Now, till now, we did not get a proper exposure on English language. We were not so good with our English language. So, what happens now? What are the consequences that we have to bear? The consequences are going to be very severe and sometimes irreparable. Now, the first thing is we have poor employability skills. And then lack of willingness to spend time and money on spoken English, CRT sessions, or soft skills training program. Because as I told you, not everyone is financially sound. Your parents are doing their best. Sometimes they forgo things for themselves so that they can have their children prepared for a better future. They are ready to forego things because they feel if they give proper education to their children, they are going to make something of their own. They are going to help themselves. Not that you're all going to take care of them. That is not at all on their list. They want you all to do good with your job so that you can have a good future. They are not at all worried about themselves. And then, if this is the situation of a financial crisis, so how many people are willing to spend time and money on spoken English classes, campus recruitment training program, or soft skills training program? You have to undergo all this process again. Now, I'll tell you the change scenario. If you take 3 years, 3 years down the lane, going back down the lane, uh, companies would hire candidates, and they would put them through 3 to 6 months of rigorous training program, including soft skills. And hence, a bond that would tell that, okay, this person is going to stick on to the company for at least 2 years now. Why do they do that? Because the time and money spent on you is in lakhs. The time and money. Now, if you take an example of a company called Infosys, How many of you all have heard of Infosys Mysore campus or Mindtree Bhubaneswar campus? Anyone? You can raise your hand so that I'll know. Good, good, good. Very good. And do you all know of the theater that is there? You can raise your hand and let me know that you're all aware. Okay, so in this training period, you get to watch movies, they'll train you on everything, including communication skills. You might be the best on earth. Still, when the training is given, you have to take communication skills. Or you take Mindtree Bhubaneswar campus, they'll give you 3 months of training. And along with giving you a place to stay and food, they take care of your lodging and boarding facilities. They pay you a stipend as good as 20,000 per month. Isn't it a good thing to get a stipend even while you're still under probation or still under the training program? So now I tell you, the time has cut down. 3 months, 6 months, no one is training you. They all want ready made products. They are not ready to spend time and money on a person whom they are not sure will stay for 2 years. Otherwise, what happens? They can take your bond and they can sue you. They can go to the. People are not scared anymore. So the companies are looking at ready-made candidates who are already good. They do not want to spend time and money. Today companies give maximum 1 week 10 days of training. Now what can you learn in 1 week 10 days of training? 3 months, 6 months is a good time, but what can you learn? And sometimes if a person is poor, they cannot afford to go for any training program after they complete their graduation, or the short-term training programs that you take up may not make much difference for an amateur, for a beginner, for a fresher. It may not make much difference. And when you have labs available, people hardly make use of those labs. Unskilled faculty would be one of the reasons, lack of practice. Now, we cannot blame anyone. If there is anyone to be blamed, it should be us. Now, what have we been doing? We know what is the market. We know what are the expectations from the market. Why haven't we, been given this hint earlier? Why didn't we take this hint earlier? Why are we still over there? And why should we regret after 3 years of education or 5 years of education? We will move on to the next slide, sir. So, what should we do? It's high time to wake up. So, it is high time to wake up and see what we can do and how we can cover the damages so far. Now, if we have poor skills, what happens? You are rejected, eliminated at interviews. Sometimes if a company has a freezing period, you cannot enter a company and you do not have time and on trainings. Even if you do, they are not very fruitful. You have to compromise with the job that you get at hand. Now, what will happen? Say, for instance, you have campus placements. Okay, if you have campus placements, what will happen? Now, first 3 companies reject you, 4th company rejects you, 5th company rejects you. So even if ICICI Bank comes and offers you a 10,000 rupees package per month, you'll take it because there is peer pressure. You still didn't get a job anywhere. Then the parents start asking, the neighbors start asking, I think placements are going on. What's your status? Did you get a job anywhere till now? Not. So because of all this pressure, we yield, we succumb. So we take up a job that is offered to us. We often come with a very famous saying that says, beggars are not choosers. We have only one thing in our hand given, and this is the only offer letter that you get. And we proudly say, see, I'm a campus selector. I got this job, no matter whether it's a 10,000 or a 8,000 job. So why should we compromise with a job when you have received the same education which others have received? And when a person is offered 6 lakhs, 13 lakhs, even 20 lakhs package per year, why should you compromise with a 12 lakh package per year? There are so many people who are getting 20 to 50 or 20 to 60 lakh package per annum. Now, that same person That person must have gone to the same school with you, but still has landed somewhere different. Now, with all this happening, it results in poor confidence. A person's confidence goes down because he feels, what is wrong with me? Why am I not being selected at interviews? And then some people still don't give up. They think, okay, India is not the place for me, so let me go abroad. So let me go abroad, try my chances over there for higher education. And then they think they can get a job over there, and then they can become a green card holder and then settle abroad. But what happens there? To crack a competitive exam, you have English there also. Okay, you take GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, PTE, GMAT, SAT, or you take CAT if you want to do your MBA over here, or CLAT if you want to get into legal services. Everything has English in it, whether it is vocabulary tested, whether it is sentence structures. Some part of English is always tested. Okay, now if this is not happening, then when you go to companies, once the oral communication skills round is done, then you're put up for a written communication skills round. And there they just ask you to write a paragraph. Now, I'll tell you, when we evaluate these papers, there's so many candidates who do not know what is a paragraph. They fill the paper, they change paragraph in a paragraph writing. Now, you cannot have paragraphs in a paragraph writing. That means you haven't understood the question. Now, do you think such a candidate would be picked for the next round? Definitely not. They would be rejected. They might come up with a fancy list of vocabulary used. They might come up with wonderful sentence structures. But if you do not understand what that is, then no matter how much ever you write, how exceptional your concept or content, maybe you will not be selected. And some people think, okay, my dad is into business, let me also get into business. Now, what happens when you get into business? It is not an easy thing. Now, in business, you might have to hire people, you might have to meet clients, you might have to make so many business deals. And what is the language? English. Now, you might not always do business with a person who is only good with your mother tongue. Now, what will happen? Will you hire a translator all the time? A translator is behind you, translating all things for you. Now, what kind of impression do we send to the business partners or the people that what kind of information are we giving them? That this person cannot communicate in English, right? So these are some of the outcomes of poor English language skills. So let us move on to the next slide, sir. So what should be done now? Is the time ripe for us to move on? So if you have decided, yes, it is time for me to move on, then you have to motivate yourself. Now, there are two types of motivation: intrinsic, extrinsic. Now, you know very well how you yield, or are you a person who get motivated by yourself, or something else motivates you? Now, you can remember, you can go back down your memory lane, and if school days when you were giving your 10th exam or your inter exam, your parents must have told you, or your relatives must have told you, okay, you come up with flying colors, I'm going to buy you an iPhone, or I'm going to buy you, buy a bike, a car. We always look for some kind of reward. So this is extrinsic motivation. Your parents must have done this, or intricately within ourselves, what we do is intrinsic motivation. Now, you have to decide what kind of a person you are. Do you get motivated by yourself, or you need some outside force to motivate you? Now, once you decided that yes, it is time for me, motivate yourself. Now, you are the only person who can tell what can motivate you. You want your parents to motivate you, take help. You want your friends to motivate you, take help. You want the world to motivate you, take a look at the figures that are rejected at the interviews. That will definitely motivate you. Let us move on, sir. Now, if you are, we need Yes, we have to improve our communication skills. Now, why are we so fluent in our mother tongue? Why are we so fluent with our mother tongue? Because we have been using this for a really long time. If you are 18 years old right now, and say from 3 years old, you must have started speaking. So for 15 years, you must have started with a monosyllable word, then disyllable word, like papa or mama. You must have started with something like that. And then you acquiring a huge list of vocabulary, right? So we are so fluent in our mother tongue because we have been using it for 15 years. Why not in English? Because we do not use it. Now, is there a shortcut to it? Do you all think there is a shortcut? Now, what are you all thinking right now? I'll give you some options. You can raise your hands. All those hands raised up and lowered their hands. Okay, now tell me, how many of y'all are thinking about lunch right now? Raise your hands, please. How many of y'all are hungry and thinking about lunch? Okay, Bhavani. Okay, Arbaz, Gauri. Okay, you're all thinking about lunch. Okay, how many of y'all are thinking, when is this session coming to an end? Raise your hand, please. Okay, hands raised up. Okay, you're all very, very fair. Very good, very good. Now, how many of y'all are thinking, how do I improve my communication skills? Raise your hands for everything. Is this list the same? Okay. So if you are on the list of the people who is thinking of how to improve your communication skills, that's the best thing to do right now, because I'll tell you that's the need of the hour. Now, take for instance, I told you today there is an online interview scheduled. They send us around 30 candidates online. Now, online we do a little slowly because it takes time for a person to admit into the meeting, and then for a person to be done, and then for the next person to log in back. So if there are 30 candidates, only 5 to 6 candidates clear the communication skills round on a daily basis. And these 5 to 6 candidates, one or maybe none will be selected in the final round. After this, now companies are not conducting written skills because it has become a problem sending online evaluation. But technical round and then the HR round. Done. You're done with your interview. But many people, they lose in the interview round. Now you all know jam or group discussion, or these are all common rounds tested. Now why do they conduct these kind of rounds? They want to see whether a candidate is good with their language skills, whether they are confident, what vocabulary they are using, is their pronunciation correct, or are the grammar structures used properly. Everything is noticed in the interview, along with your dressing, your behavior, that is your both verbal and non-verbal communication is tested. So now we have to do a reverse engineering process. Your tongue has got to speak Telugu and or Hindi or Urdu over a period of time, and it takes some time for our mouth or tongue to do this reversing. That is, you have to undo all this, and then you have to go ahead and start speaking in English. Now, how many of your thoughts are in Telugu or Hindi or Urdu in your mind right now? Can you raise your hands, please? All raised hands can be lowered, and then you can raise your hands back. Even some students are on videos. You can raise your hands. I'm able to see y'all. Okay, good. Now, if you're all thinking of lunch, or if you're all thinking of how to improve communication skills in your mother tongue, then it is time for y'all to change your process, because you know for for the brain to process, there is very less time frame. So once you start thinking in your mother tongue, it takes a really long time for your brain to translate that into English and then get it to your mouth. Do you think interviewers will have so much of time to wait for y'all? In that 5 minutes interview, I can tell you 6 seconds. Within 6 seconds, we can assess whether we are going to select this candidate or reject. 6 seconds. And in those 6 seconds, what we do get to see is we get to see the person, how he is dressed up, whether he's presentable or no, and then few words that you speak. Okay. Now, whenever you turn your camera on, always remember that you're presentable and your background is presentable. You cannot have your dried up laundry shown on the camera. You cannot have, a person cooking shown. You cannot have vendors selling things on your or being heard on your audio. This is something which we call it as etiquette plays a pivotal role in everything, whether it is communication or whether it is appearance. Training your brain, think in English. Once you start framing your sentences in English, what happens is it will be less difficult for y'all to process that thought and put it into English. So think in English. Now, this is one of the easiest and the most successful method for many people who have overcome their problem with fluency. Then, this is one method or one technique which we can say. And then, if you all have a habit of reading newspaper, I'm not newspaper. I'm talking about English newspaper. For starters, you can go with Deccan Chronicle. You can then move to Times of India and then the Hindu. You can say these are the levels in which the language or vocabulary is used in these newspapers. Then read out loud. It could be for 20 minutes, it could be just headlines, or pick your favorite column. It could be cricket, politics, crime briefs, take your pick. Select something, but read it out loud so that you can hear. Okay, when you hear, you'll know how you are heard to others, how you're pronouncing your words. And then if you have a difficulty understanding a word, try to understand it in the context. You don't have to refer to dictionary all the time. Understand it in the context. And then if you are facing a difficulty with your with the pronunciation word, look up at Google. It's going to help you all. Then if you are a passionate music lover, then you can listen to some songs in English, or probably listen to some songs with subtitles, watch English movies, but never ever translate from your mother tongue to English. It's not going to do any good for you all. I'll tell you a very easy example. We often hear a word like, yes, I do you watch movies? Like if this is the interview question asked, okay, they say, I watch movies sometimes. Now I wonder why two sometimes? Because when we say in our mother tongue or any other language, sometimes is what in Telugu? It is appudu in Telugu, kabhi in Hindi. So what are we doing? We put two sometimes instead of one. Do we really need two sometimes in a sentence? I watch movies sometimes is it your mother tongue to English, because in your mother tongue, the verb may be at a different place, the noun may be at a different place. So languages can never be translated word to word. The next thing is, now, if you're all joining us, you can also tell me, what is the difference between, say, English and Hindi? the college now. Yes, you have 3 years at very good time. What will happen when you start speaking in English? Your friends may laugh at you. It's okay. It's okay. You're not losing anything. They're just having good time with your English. So what if you lose that faith in yourself, or if you yield to what they want you to do? They're laughing at you because they want you to stop, or they find it funny because all of a sudden you started communicating in English. But who is at a loss? They are never going to be at a loss. You're going to be at a loss. If you stop speaking in English because someone is laughing at you, then we are going to be at a loss. So communicate in English at every opportunity that you get, right from the first day of your college. Take every in whatever competitions, whether it's a debate, an elocution, an essay writing competition, or whether if it is an Independence Day occasion or a Republic Day occasion, opportunity that you get at hand, so that you lose that stage fear, you become more confident, you develop your pronunciation, you develop your vocabulary, develop your communication skills. And this is not a one-day job. You have to be consistent, you have to be continuous, and you have to put in your effort till you reach your goal. What is your goal? Getting a good job at a good place. That makes a lot of difference. So take every opportunity. There's no shortcut to success. There's definitely no shortcut to success over here. You cannot say, okay, I'm going to pay 10,000 an hour to this trainer. This trainer has to make me good with my communication skills. You can take a very good example of cricketers. You know how cricketers struggle to speak in English? Whether it's any country cricketers, they all take classes, they all take language classes. I have taken classes to even some politicians, you won't believe. Politicians, cricketers, name a person in any industry. Film actors take language classes. Do you all know that? Because when they come to the media, language has become very, very important. People judge you because the whole world is watching you, and they cannot take a chance by just being an average speaker in language. And then another good example that I'd like to say is you can recite some tongue twisters. Now, what is a tongue twister? Tongue twister is something, you all have tongue twisters even in your regional languages, right? Something that makes you tongue tied, that does not help you to take the next word with ease. Okay, we move on to the next slide, sir. So here I have come up with some tongue twisters. Now these are quite noted tongue twisters. And the second tongue twister on your slide is considered to be the toughest tongue twister of all the time. The second tongue twister that I'm talking about, you all can read it in your minds. Everyone watching this program can read it out loud and see whether you're able to get this at the same time, three times in a row in one shot. The sixth shakes, sixth sheep is sick. Can you all get it? Try it. And then Betty bought some butter. The butter was bitter, so Betty bought some more better butter to make the bitter butter better. She sells seashells at the seashore. Loyal, royal, lawyer. Now, you try this saying three times, you'll never get it correct. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? So we move on. There's just one more slide of tongue twisters. Did you all try reciting the tongue twisters? How many of you all tried? You can raise your hand and let me know. Okay. The next one. If two witches would watch two watches, which witch would watch which watch? I thought, but the thought I thought wasn't the thought I thought. I thought had been the thought I thought, I wouldn't have thought so much. If practice makes us perfect and perfection needs practice, then I am perfectly practiced and practically perfect. I saw a saw in what saw. Of all the saws I ever saw, I never saw a that good saw like the saw I saw in what saw. So if you practice sometime twisters, your pronunciation gets better, you will become more confident, get a good grip at your language skills. Yes. So we move on, sir, to the next slide. So this mostly brings to the end of my presentation. Uh, I really appreciate your time and patience. So if anyone has any queries, we can take it up.
Madam, do you want me to unmute the students?
Yes, sir. If they are interested in asking questions, yes, please.
I can see many hands raised here, so I request all the students to please ask the questions one by one. Please do not bombard Madam with your.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
True. That would be great.
See now, my apartment is there. This is for residential purpose, right? So now, if I want to, I can give it to another person, but I cannot give it for some commercial use. This is residential.
I have unmuted the students. Students, you can unmute yourself and you can ask questions to the madam, please.
Okay, only those who are asking questions unmute themselves.
Person who purchases land with the notice that the owner of the land is bound by certain duties affecting land. Okay, bound by certain duties. The government.
Yes, who has a question?
Mr. Arbaz, you can ask your question to the madam, please. Mr. Arbaz. Okay, Bhavani, it's your turn. You can ask question to the madam. Bhavani?
Type on the chat box, sir, and we can take up the questions. If
Sure,
if
madam.
that is
Yeah.
not happening, I think we can take up questions on the chat box as well.
Sure.
Yes, Komal has some. Komal, are you able to unmute yourself, Komal? Komar, Sakshi.
Komal,
Good
you can ask your
afternoon,
question
madam.
now.
Very good afternoon, dear. Tell me.
Ma'am, is there any way where we can measure how effective we are in our communication skills?
I don't think there is any device that can measure, but you
Not the device,
be
ma'am,
the
not the device, but then any sort of test or any sort of questions where we can test ourselves where how effective we are in our communication skills.
there are so many there are so you there are so many tests online that you can take up that can tell you how good your communication skills are. But if it is a speaking round,
Ma'am, there's a breakage in your voice. Hello?
Okay, got it, Komal?
No, ma'am, there was a breakage in your voice.
Yes, see, you can test yourself. There are a very tests through Cambridge. Okay, Kentley.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, dear. Yes, Kumar has a question.
Ma'am,
Kumar, you have. Yes, Kumar.
ma'am, we know that there are several people who are rejected from the companies,
Yes.
ma'am. But they do wonders in the world, no, ma'am. Like we have Jack Ma from China and our Bollywood king Amitabh Bachchan, who was being rejected as he was said that his voice is hoarse in one of the call center.
Yes.
But we know that
Yes.
how he
Yes.
conducts today. There are so many programs which are being conducted by Amitabh Bachchan. And
Yes. Yes.
Jack Ma was one of the person who was rejected by the companies out of 21 candidates. He was only rejected.
Yes.
But today he is
Yes.
the $1 billion company's owner.
Yes.
Many
Yes.
times these companies couldn't judge people correctly, no, ma'am.
Okay, I'll give you an answer for that. Okay. So once a company rejects you, okay, it is not because you are not good for anything. It is because that company's expectations you might not have met. Okay, now you take an example. If a person is rejected at a particular company, he is selected somewhere. Maybe the package is more, the package is less. That is regardless.
Yes.
Now you take an example of our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi. Now, how many
Yes.
people would want to become chaiwalas because Modi became a successful Prime Minister?
Hmm.
Do we want to go back and become chaiwala, or do we
No.
want to go back and become Amitabh Bachchan in his yesteryears, go through all that struggle? No.
No.
We want to be good at what the world is expecting from us,
Yes.
isn't it? So we do
Yes.
not want setbacks like them. So we can take that as a lesson from them. They might have
Yes.
become. How many successful people are you talking about? We can take on our fingertips, but not everyone. So there are so
Yes.
many people who have failed in their lives, failed miserably. So these can be a very good lesson for the freshers, that you can take this as an inspiration and tell them that if you don't have this skill set, you'll go through all that struggle. Maybe one day you will taste success, but let us hope that day is not too late.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon, Mir. Tell me.
Ma'am, actually, I didn't get the main objective for this session, ma'am.
Oh, the
What
objective
was the
of this
objective of this?
The objective of this session is, if you do not have good communication skills, you stand no chance of making anything in your life. And how, as a student, may I ask you, Mir, what is your educational background?
Intermediate.
You have completed intermediate. Okay, so this session should have given you an insight as to, if you do not focus on good communication skills, where you see yourself 3 years after you complete your graduation. Did you get that insight of what problems a person might face? Yes, so that was the essence of this session. Gauri? Next. Gauri has her hand raised. Gauri,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
ask
Yes,
your
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm here. I'm here. I'm
Yes,
here.
dear.
Firstly,
Yes, dear. Tell me.
good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Very good morning.
Ma'am, my question is
Yes.
not that difficult. I just only want to ask: are these tongue twisters helpful for us to improve something in our life?
That'll definitely help you, because, we do not entertain fillers or, pauses when a person speaks. during that 5 minutes that they get at an interview. So if you take too many pauses, what happens is we underestimate a person's potential. Maybe the person has had a very bad day. Maybe he's good with his communication skills. Twisters help you at ease. They'll help you speak, not give you that pause in your sentences. So that helps you speed up, or that helps you clarity, and which is really very important. As I told you already, errors can be covered. A person may be not so good with his articles, with his punctuation. A person may not have his vowel sounds pronounced properly. Some may not get a consonant sound pronounced properly. These are few errors. We do not reject a person based on few errors. We see if the person is consistent with his errors, if there is really a flaw in his pronunciation, if there's a lot of fillers that he's taking, too many pauses, that is when we reject the candidate. And to get that flow, I feel tongue twisters do help you a lot.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for clearing my doubt. And I would also
Yes.
thank you for conducting such a inspired and motivational webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sheikh Hussein, Sheikh Hasmuddin has a doubt. Sheikh.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon, Sheikh. Tell me.
Actually, I have a doubt regarding communication and skill. Nowadays, we have been seeing that many companies they are preferring a skillful worker rather than a person's proper communication skills.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Many places I have observed this. Rather it be a government organization or private organization or any corporate company, they are nowadays preferring a skillful worker rather than a person who is having a better communication.
Okay. I'll tell you where you must have heard this. Yojana, or they are coming up with new technologies, new software. They're coming up with Hadoop or big data. I'm sure you're talking about all this. I'll tell you when you are good with your skill set. Now, say for instance, which part of India are you?
I'm from Hyderabad.
You're from Hyderabad. Okay.
Yes,
say for instance, you are a campus select. You are a campus select, and you're not very good with your language skills, or you are good with your language skills.
Ma'am, you're inaudible.
you meet. Am I audible?
Yeah, it's
Sheikh.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, say for instance, you are selected for a company, and you meet a person who is from a non-English background, a person who cannot communicate English properly. Now, take for instance, you meet a person from, say, Nagaland or Manipur or some northeastern part of India. Okay. And that person communication skills. And this person is put up on your team. Okay. How are you planning to communicate? Are you going to learn his language, or are you going to teach him English?
Ma'am, maybe the communication would be in Hindi if he's probably better in it, understanding and speaking.
If Yeah, if he can understand. Now, being raised in Hyderabad, I would say you have an edge over others. You must have learned Telugu, Hindi, and English as well. But that is not the same case with across the globe, isn't it? If that person fails in communicating or understanding Hindi, what are you going to do? Imagine you're the team leader, you have a team, and you have, yes, Sheikh, yes.
Maybe we could we could appoint a mediator to help us with the communication.
Yes.
For example,
so,
translator.
Yes. So how much does he earn to appoint a translator?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have to think of all the practicalities. No doubt skill set is tested. And I'll tell you, I do interviews for the top 10 companies, top 8 companies. I would not say 10. Top 10, I am for 8 companies. They do communication skills round. You're put for a technical round only if you clear communication skills. That means communication is the client or an international client. They want a person whom they have hired to be able to communicate ease in English, because we may not know all the languages on earth, but English has become a global language that connects people. So hence they are looking for people who are good with English communication. Okay, Sheikh?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
A very good afternoon, Vijay. Tell me.
Madam, how to balance between our technical skills and communication skills?
I'll tell you that it by the end of your 3 years of course, isn't it? With backlogs, without backlogs, you will get it. Yes, I'm correct? But communication skills cannot be honed in less period of time. So if you have to balance, as I told you, you have to follow these tips. That is, you have to, while giving a good time for your academics and technicalities, you have to focus on your communication skills as well. See, it is not a difficult thing. You start thinking in English, try to speak in English at every opportunity that you get. Speak to your friends in college in English, or to your neighbors. You have nephews, nieces, you have friends around your place. Start communicating in English. Once you start, it becomes a very easy thing. It's like a cakewalk. It'll be very easy for you.
Yes, madam. Thank you, madam.
Yes, Vijay. Farha has a question. Farha?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon, Farha. Tell me.
Ma'am, actually, my question is when a person is very fluent with his communication skills, but still they have a problem of getting stuck in between. Like, my personal problem is like
Okay.
I can speak a good English, but at times I get stuck up with the words. So, for that, what is the thing I can do it for improving that?
So you say you fall short of words, that you do not know which word to use. Are you facing a problem with vocabulary, dear?
Ma'am, actually, I'll be knowing the word even, but the thing is, I get stuck up when I speak.
So what is your analysis? Is it because you're scared of the crowd? You never had, addressed a public before?
I have addressed, ma'am, and I don't feel so scared also to address myself in front of public. But still, uh, there comes a problem that I can't, ma'am. Like, see, this is the way I just stuck up in between.
Okay. See, this shouldn't be a major problem with you, Farha, because the vocabulary is good. All you need is practice. See, maybe you use a different language when you're talking to your friends and at your family, but suddenly when we speak in English, that becomes something new. As I told you, our brain is not trained enough to take two different languages and to process it suddenly from mother tongue to English. Maybe you try speaking. See, I'm not telling that it's going to be a long time, but if you try to speak in English, you will find a noticeable change in 2 weeks of time, and I can assure you of that. You try that.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Aditya?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon. Tell me.
Ma'am, as you said that the expectations of the companies differ from company to company. If at all we are having the more skills than the expectations of a company, then also we get rejected. I have seen many cases with my friends, sisters, siblings. I have seen many like that. They are rejected only because they are having more skills than the expectations of the company. In such case, how to handle?
You are more qualified for that job. So maybe the job that you have applied for is at a wrong place or for a wrong designation, I would say. That means you are over skilled. See, I'll tell you one thing. When I say you should be good with your communication skills, technicalities come later. There are people who get rejected even in their technical rounds. Now, take for instance an exam. Can you name some competitive exams conducted for technical subjects? AMCAT. Have you heard of called AMCAT? AMCAT,
Yes, ma'am.
AMCAT. Yes, you have heard. Is English. And English is the first. Even if you are, taking your your score remains low and you will not clear when you do not clear AMCAT exam. AMCAT gives you in all your technicalities along with skills. That is, English is all tested as part of it. So if they'll give you score technical, if you get 100% and in your English you do not score, or say you score 100% or score in that exam. We are talking about a balance wherein you have to balance between your communication skills and your technicalities. Now, why I'm not focusing today on technicalities, because sooner or later, with or without backlogs, you will get your technicalities on the piece of paper and the knowledge acquired. But communication skills, you cannot get it overnight. You hone them overnight. Hence, my focus is on communication skills. Is that
Okay, ma'am.
question answered?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. Then we have Aniksha Sharma.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon, dear. Tell me.
Ma'am, is accent important in learning English?
Accent, I would say we do not focus on accent, and Indians follow neutralized accent. If you want to practice a particular accent, like say American accent, Australian accent, or English accent that is from England, okay, then you have to get good practice on it. But in India, companies look for neutralized accent. What you and I speak are neutralized accent. Accent that is easily understood by any person. So, but I'll tell you one thing, if a person fakes an accent in an interview, he's rejected. He or she is rejected. We do not entertain a person who suddenly fakes an accent. Now, you want to put on that particular accent, you better have a good practice on it. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Right. Yes, dear. Khan has a question. Yes, Khan.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon, Khan. Tell me.
Ma'am, with the daily technology increasing, we might never know what the future brings us. And now people conversing less publicly and not going face to face, using social media to converse between. Will communication skills be still popular in the future years, or will social skills take over communication skills? Will it still matter?
Okay. I'll tell you one thing, Khan. Now, you might be active on Facebook. You might be active on what are all the social networking sites we take. What language do you use to communicate?
Usually we go with Indian English, ma'am. When I converse with my friends, but when I do
English,
converse
right?
with someone I do not know, I go with English.
Yes. Okay. Now there are so many incidents wherein we laugh at famous personalities posting on Twitter accounts or other social media accounts, wherein there are so many also been highlighted by the media itself. So whether we type words or when we type words, you have grammar, you have punctuation, you have vocabulary in it. Everything is in English, Khan. So I wouldn't say, a verbal communication skill is going to be obsolete. It is never going to be obsolete. Social media is conduct interviews online. People are very active online. That doesn't mean the speaking skill will become obsolete. If we are communicating, whether it is English or whether we are speaking in English, English definitely has its own charm.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yes, Khan.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Yes, Komal. Good afternoon, dear. Tell me.
Ma'am, while we speaking English, we lack our confidence. We will lose some time our confidence. So how to overcome with that, ma'am?
Once you feel that uh, your English has improved, and as I've already discussed, we are the only person of progress. Now once you start speaking in English, there will be some friends who give us sorry for that, who give us a fair feedback. They say, my God, your language really has improved. Or when one of your teachers or lecturers praises you, my God, you have done a really amazing job in that introduction of today, or in that event that was conducted. Day by day your confidence starts increasing, so which takes some time for us to gain our confidence. But definitely, when a person communicates well, he is recognized. He or she is recognized sooner or later. Okay, that answers your question, Komal. We hands raised up. Yes, Anu.
Yeah, madam. Actually, Prashant's a degree principal. He wants to, talk to you all once. Prashant, sir, you
Yes.
up?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. The webinar is finalized. Is it okay? Finished or anything pending to complete?
We are done, sir. I
Right.
I come to the end of my session.
Okay. Very good afternoon, all. I, K. Prashant Kumar, on behalf of Tapasya Degree College and the entire Tapasya Executions team, a hearty vote of thanks to Speaker Ms. Rosie Matilda for gracing today's webinar. Thank you, madam, for addressing our students. I would also like to thank our respected chairman, Sri Sridhar Muppala Garu, for supporting us in conducting this seminar. I am very thankful to all who have helped us in making the seminar success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much,
Thank you
madam.
all to thank Tapasya Academy. Yes, sir. To
And
thank Tapasya Academy for giving this platform for the student and for everyone. And thank you very much Prashant, sir. Thank you very much.
thank you so much, madam. And thank you all the students for participating in this session. You have a great day. Thank you so much, ma'am. The session is over.